Good morning to President Biden, President Clinton, Speaker Pelosi, members of the Kennedy family, friends, admirers. It is a great honor to be with you today to say a few words about my dear friend, Ethel Kennedy. Most Americans got to know Ethel as a wife, a mother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother. You can hear some of those great-grandchildren hollering as we speak. The woman who, standing alongside her husband, Bobby, helped tap the idealism of an entire generation. The matriarch who instilled a commitment to justice in her children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and helped raise a legion of change makers and public servants. And she was proud of those roles. She loved family, just as she loved friendship. But as anyone who ever met Ethel knows, she was a lot more than that. She was a big dose in a small package. While Bobby was shy and serious, apparently, Ethel was not. She was a spitfire from a young age. Some of you have heard the stories. The school yearbook describing her as, quote, alive with mischief. In college, demerits for a long list of infractions, including chewing gum and, quote, disorder in the tea room. I can only imagine what that was like. And that irrepressible spirit did not end once she left school, or after she was married, or had children, or became a grandmother. There's the famous party where she pushed Arthur Schlesinger Jr. and several cabinet members into the pool fully clothed. The touch football game where she bit the writer George Plimpton on the ankle. And of course, the rotating cast of family pets, dogs, horses, chickens, cats, goats, turtles, reputedly a hawk, an armadillo, and a seal. Not sure where they kept the seal. What made Ethel's mischief special, though, is how it was always joined to kindness and generosity and perspective and fortitude, in the same way that her joy, her zest for life, her love for people, helped feed in her a righteous anger towards the many injustices in our world. Her life was marked by more tragedy and heartbreak than most of us could bear. And she would have been forgiven, I think, if at any point she had stepped away from public life or allowed bitterness to fester after all she and her family had been through. But that is not what Ethel did, because that's not who she was. We all know the story of how, on the train carrying her husband's body from New York to his final resting place in Arlington, she famously walked up and down the aisles trying to cheer up every friend and colleague and reporter on board. And in the years that followed, she kept doing what she and Bobby had always intended to do, fighting for what was right, supporting causes she believed in, encouraging those who were willing to take on the powers that be, lifting up the stories of those whose voices had been set aside or were forgotten, and making sure that her children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren felt a responsibility to do the same. She became a passionate advocate for everything, from juvenile justice to civil rights to environmental protection. Well into her 80s, she's still out there marching for something. Through the center she created, in Bobby's name, she celebrated activists and journalists and educated people about threats to human liberty. She was willing to go to extraordinary lengths to support any cause that was close to her heart. I remember seeing a video of Ethel pour a bucket of ice water over her head to help raise money for ALS research. I remember this because she then tried to talk me into doing the same. I wrote a check instead. It is probably the only time that I ever said no to Ethel, and I suspect she wasn't too happy about it. As serious as Ethel was about righting wrongs, she never seemed to take herself too seriously. She never put on airs. There was no pretension there, no attitude that some people were worth her time and others weren't. She treated everybody with the same respect, the same curiosity, the same humor. And it was that capacity for empathy, her ability to connect to people high and low, regardless of background, her capacity to see the best in you and not just assume the worst, that made her so beloved and made her such a force for change. What a gift it was to have Ethel on your side. She had a way of believing in you, maybe before you fully believed in yourself. I remember meeting her for the first time. I don't remember exactly the date. It was shortly after I'd spoken at the Democratic Convention in Boston. I had just emerged on the national scene, not sure if I had even been sworn in yet to the Senate, and this newfound attention was a little disorienting. It was like being shot out of a cannon, a friend of mine described it. Anyway, I'm at some function, and suddenly this small woman with this huge smile and these twinkling eyes marches right up to me and grabs me by both hands and looks up at me, and I realize it's Ethel Kennedy, which of course is even more disorienting. And she looks up and she says, "Oh, I like you. You're going places." And I stammered something to the effect of, "Oh, Miss Kennedy, you're so kind. It's an honor to meet you." And she just cut me off like she'd do sometimes. Oh, stop it," she said. You know you're going places. Just make sure to enjoy the ride." You see, Ethel didn't have much patience for navel-gazing or overwrought sentiment, because she was too busy enjoying life and getting stuff done. In fact, if she were here today, I'd imagine her leaning over and whispering to someone that it is time for me to wrap up. So let me end with this. We live at a time of such rancor and division and suspicion and loneliness. And we isolate ourselves with gadgets and diversions, and we're encouraged to chase after things that don't last, and we have trouble distinguishing what is true from what is false, and we succumb to those voices that find it profitable to stoke anger and grievance. And even in resisting such voices, we so often find ourselves succumbing to cynicism or despair. What better time then to remember the life that Ethel Kennedy lived? A woman who understood that Our salvation comes from turning towards each other, not turning away. Someone who reminds us by her example that life goes on no matter how deep the grief, that there is joy and purpose to be found, no matter what hand we've been dealt. That each of us has the power, if we so choose, to make our world a little better and to make somebody else's life a little better. And that we can have some fun and make some mischief in the process. What a gift. I sure did love Ethel Kennedy. I miss her. I miss her smile, I miss her warmth, I miss her generosity, and I miss her grace. May God bless her, and may she rest in eternal peace.